आनंददाता ज्ञान हमको दीजिए। ओम ओम सच्चिदानंद ओम सच्चिदानंद। Namaste and welcome to this session number 2 on spiritual aspects of Agnihotra. Last week we discussed the overall scheme of the Vedic literature, that is in 3 layers. We discussed in pre-Mahabharata period. We saw the Vedic age when people went by the message of the Vedas and they were able to memorize them, comprehend them properly, and utilize them in their day-to-day interactions. They knew the language, they knew the deep meanings it contained in, and they utilized it in their day-to-day life. But with the passage of time, the human capacity declined, and then it was not possible for of the population to memorize all the Vedas, and there was a need to produce gist of the Vedas. And that's where the Vedic rishis produced the body of literature known as Brahmana, Aranyak, and Upanishads. Brahmana contained more of the material science, and Upanishads were more on the spiritual science, consciousness, ours and that of that supreme consciousness. In this Upanishadic age, if you can call it the second age, people still believed and functioned as per the message of the Vedas. But there was further decline in the human capacity, memory, and so on, and also qualitative decline now that there were some people who began to experiment with the idea of materialistic life. They thought it's a good strategy to minimize the pain and maximize joy and pleasures of life, mainly sensual pleasures. So they wanted to lead more a materialistic life, and that's where the first book in the third series came, namely Sankhya, authored by Kapil. He argued with the very small fraction of population that however smart you may be, you can not quite make life void of pain and suffering. And if you do not go by the Vedic message, then life and death will constitute a cycle. You will be born again and again, and every life will experience pain and suffering one way or another. So he mentioned something like Trivid Dukh Atyant Nivritti, how to get absolutely away from pain and suffering. And then he mentioned something like Atyant Purusharth, that is to attain the highest wisdom called Vivek Khyati, that is I am different from my mind. The distinction between me and my mind. I am a non physical entity that is pure consciousness, but I have been joined together with my mind and then with my body that are made of matter. And if I know it experientially by way of deep meditation, then I have attained the highest, finest wisdom, and that stage is called Vivekyati. By way of deep meditation practice, and then I am not going to be born again. I am born again and again because in my mind there is something called avidya or avivek, that is ignorance, and that gives rise to what is called klesh, such as rag and dvesh, attachment and aversion. And under the influence of rag and dvesh, I do all kinds of karma, good karma, to obtain joy and pleasures of life, and inadvertently I go into some bad karma that brings some pain and suffering, sukh and dukh. So the cycle is rag dvesh, causes dharma and adharma, and they bring as their rewards sukh and dukh. And when I enjoy sukh, I again have their impatience called vasana or a sanskar in general, which is again rag because I want to experience them again and again. So, Sukh and Dukh causes further rag and dvesh, and this cycle goes on. I must take birth again and again. So that was his idea. Then yoga philosophy came, which recognizes that same message must be given for all kinds of people. By now, there are people who are even willing to harm others for their own gains. So, to maximize their own sukh, they are willing to cause dukh to others. So, they needed a moral code of conduct. So, Patanjali packaged the same message of Sankhya, but for a wide spectrum of population, including those who might be committing immoral acts. So, his scheme of Ashtanga Yoga included yam, niyam, and so on and so forth. Yam has five elements of moral code of conduct, namely ahimsa, satya, steya, brahmacharya, and apaikya. Not to hurt others, to be truthful, and so on and so forth. So this klesh, if it becomes ashuddhi, impurities, then we need to employ moral code of conduct, and then again go along the path of meditation so that all my klesh is burned, what is called bija dagdvat. They become important, and then I don't live again. I don't take birth again. And in the same series, now the philosophy of Nyaya came in because these six books of Vedic philosophy are in sutra, aphorisms, and they are argumentative. In Vedic age and Upanishadic age, rishis did not have to argue. Everybody understood as such. But now, because people were experimenting with other kinds of materialistic life and even employing immoral methods, there was a need to argue it out. And in arguments, now people began to employ illegitimate fallacies and something just to win over the debate rather than to know the truth and the whole truth as such. So the philosophy of Nyaya came in, that is actually a book on logic authored by Gautam. He said, what are the valid means of debate? And we should not introduce logical fallacies and so on and so forth. Then came a book by Vaseshik where he went through not quite the subtle material particles. His starting point was the five gross elements, what are called Panchamahabhut, and that is also called Vishesh. So his book is called as Vaisheshik, but message was same that yes, we live in this world and we should know all the things in the world, what is called a Devya, including myself, my mind, and all the things that exist in their correct form, what is called dharma. So everything is dharmi and all its characteristics are dharma. If we know all these things properly, including my own self, that will lead to abhyudaya and nishayas, both materialistic development as well as spiritual development. Now, the further degradation, the book comes Mimansa, what is called Purva Mimansa by Gemini. That is philosophy on karma, because by now, as we know, in the trinity of karma, jnana, and upasana, in upasana, that is meditation practice, people are slipping down. That's where the Sankhya and Yoga is strong. Now in Jnana, the knowledge, Nyaya and Vaiseshika is strong, but people are again slipping down, and now they are just doing karma. Karma, which is more visible, which wants to bring some rewards for some sort of pleasures of life, what is called, we do all kinds of karma so that it has a better karma phal, rewards of the karma. And then he said, karma should be only those what have been dictated by the Vedas. Then why so? Why only the Vedas? Because Vedas are the words, revealed word, and they are eternal. Shabdi is nitya, so to say. So he talks at length about philosophy of karma and the eternal nature of the words in the Vedas, Shabdika Nityatva. Then around the same time, why we are so concerned about the Vedas and what is all this, even if they are revealed word, who is Ishwar or Brahma. So the next book is in this series is Uttamimansha, also called as Brahm Sutra and also called as Vedanta, because this is the last book in this six series. And here the book is on Brahma Jigyasa, inquiry about that supreme being Brahma. By now, even there is doubt about existence of Ishwar Brahma. So this much we have covered last time, and then we said rishis were aware that human decline will be there qualitatively, and they had been preparing another body of literature, what is called Vedanga, which has six divisions: Shiksha, Vyakaran, Nirukta, Chanda, Jyotish, and Kalpa. They were producing these six body divisions of literature for the future generations so that they can study the Vedas. They were quite aware that people will be far and far away from the Vedas, and it will not be as natural as it was in the first and second series or age of the people, Vedic age and Upanishadic age, when they could just read it and get the meaning of it, or hear it and get the meaning of it, as if it was their mother tongue. But now we are far away from it. We have to make a lot of formal training and preparation and education so that we can decipher the message of the Vedas. So within the Vedanga, there is one division is called Kalpa, where all kinds of simulations were done, and those simulations were to teach what all is happening in the universe, Srishti. And all this is not haphazard, this is very orderly according to the natural laws. And of course, there is a lawmaker and law enforcer, that supreme being. So the knowledge is also about the same supreme being, and the simulation of various models were also to take us to that supreme being, who is the origin of both the knowledge and all that is happening in the universe. So within that kalpa, Maharishi Dayanand uses a phrase, Ashwamedh se Agnihotra Paryant, as if Ashwamedh is on one extreme of the spectrum, very sophisticated simulation, and Agnihotra is the very simplest simulation. And this Agnihotra is also one of that what is called Panchmahayajna, five daily rituals for the householders. So that's what we are discussing. So we got an overview of Vedic literature last time and the place of karma in Purva Mimamsa and the simulations that our rishis invented, including invention of fire and so many other things. And all other things like ghee is made out of milk, from butter and from cream and yogurt and so on and so forth. All these material science advancement took place in our ancestors' time and they made progress one after another. But their common factor was it's all the glory of that Ishwar. And they were always interested in exploring that supreme being. This is what we want to discuss, spiritual aspects of Agnihotra. Today I want to devote this session number 2 to look at the pursuit of calm in a human life from another perspective. And then from third session on, we will go into the specifics of Agnihotra. As you know, we are all conscious being, and in Vedic terminology, consciousness is inherent to my self, my soul, that tiny entity that is called in Sankhya and in Yoga Darshan as Purush. Purush here doesn't mean male human being as in our day to day common language, but it's a technical term. It comes from Pura is a space, and one who occupies that space is Purush. So, like I have my personal body space, and that is inhabited by myself, my soul, and that's why I am able to wave my hands, speak. All these are conscious functions. I am able to do it because of my self residing in this domain. If I leave it, that's the way it happens upon death, then this is dead body, non functional. So all its functions are made possible because of that consciousness, which is the attribute of that tiny entity. As said, is Vayu Anilam Amritam Etadam Bhasmantam Shayam. So that is Vayu, that is forceful, Anil, that is immaterial, non material, Amrit, that is undying because it's not made of matter, it doesn't go through any transformation, it just stays what it is and it never dies. Atidam Bhasmantam Shayam whereas this body is has an end, ant, which will die one day and will become bhasm, a handful of ash. That is called Shahid. So I am a composite of two very diversified, very different kind of entities. On the one side of extreme of spectrum, I am a point, tiny point-like particle, which is no matter at all and is immortal. And on the other extreme, this body is huge and gross, made of matter, and is parinami, always going through changes and transformation. While that Atma Tattva, that Purush, is aparinami, it just stays what it is. That has consciousness. And when it wants to use of course, in between there is a joining unit, what we call mind. So I am body, mind, and me, self. This is a connecting domain which has characteristics of the body domain also, that it is made of matter, but it is so tiny because of, on the other side, it is to connect to Purush. It is made of very, very tiny particles. That's why this is called a Sukshma Shayi, subtle body, subtle domain, while this is Sthul Shayi, gross body. This is not visible. And they are the self, the Purush, and mind are, so to say, in practical terms, always together. The, they can be visualized as thumb in the fist, as if thumb is my self, soul, me, my Atma Tattva, the Purush, and it is enveloped by the mind domain. This entire thing, me and my mind, are very, very subtle. In the sense, this is how I entered into my father's body. And he wasn't aware of how I entered into his body. Maybe through some food he was eating, or through something he was drinking, a glass of water, or even through the air he inhaled, or through the certain small passages we have in the body. I just somehow entered into his body. And then, through his vital fluid, I was transported into my mother's body. And in my mother's womb, then there were layers and layers formed. That was my gross body. So today I am the Purush, the mind, the way I entered into my father's body and then in my mother's body. And then I have picked up a lot of layers and have grown big, much bigger than I was born. And now I am body, mind, and me. When I die, sometime later in future, then again this me and my mind will leave this body domain. So they will remain together. This their being together is called bandh, that is bondage. And human life is the opportunity that I can attain liberation, salvation, isolation, whatever you call it, mukti, upward, kavalya, and so on and so forth. When I renounce this mind domain. How do I announce it? Because as I said last time, some clash is here, somewhere in my mind domain. Deep in meditation, if I can burn it, then they become important, called Bij Dagdavat. Then I don't deserve any other next life. Then this goes back to where it came from, and I am alone. So this is general Vedic scheme of life, death, and attempt to obtain mukti, moksha, upward and kaivalya. So, but how do they work together? This is very interesting. I am not just body, mind, and me. There is another important domain that is between body and mind that is called pranic domain. So, pranamaya kosh. So, that is pran is actually he, that supreme being. He is present everywhere. He is present even in my body and mind, and he ensures that when I want to use this system, they are usable until I die. So, what does he do? It's very easy to visualize the pranic domain. Say, I am in deep sleep. Later in the evening, I will be in deep sleep. Even with no dreams, it's called sushupti. Nothing is happening in my mind. And of course, my body is also still thoroughly inactive. But if somebody is standing at a distance, can observe me, my body, my chest is probably expanding and contracting. And if there is a doctor who puts all kinds of wires here and there, they will find a lot of activity happening in my brain, in my heart, in my respiratory system, digestive system, etc. Body is being detoxified, and a lot of things happening so that in the morning when I wake up, body is in its kind of equilibrium, refresh. Even mind is refreshed. So a lot of things are happening which are called as non-voluntary functions. All those non-voluntary functions I am not doing consciously, but they are happening within my system, and in Vedic terminology we call them as pranic function. There are five members: pran, apan, vyan, saman, udan, approximately with nervous system, cardiac system, respiratory system, digestive system, and renal system. But these pranic forces are everywhere. These are forces. A force causes movement, displacement. They cause blood circulation. They cause breathing. That atmospheric air is sucked into the system, and the inner carbonaceous air is thrown out. All kinds of things are happening, very complex things. All these things are moving, and something is happening because of certain forces. And those forces are bundled together in five groups, Pranapan, and the whole family is also called as Prana. So I become not just three fingers, this is body, this is mind and me, and body and mind are made functional because Prana is always functioning. If they stop functioning, I will collapse immediately, and then I die. So death is departure of the soul and mind from the system, and also collapse of the system because the forces, non-voluntary forces, have given up. So two things happen simultaneously. You may call it as brain death, heart death, vital systems not functioning, or you may say the purush and mind, that thing which were together, have departed. So both things happen together. What causes? What is first and second, it may be just a fraction of a second apart, but this is how things are functioning. Since I have put four fingers now, body, pran, mind, and me, mind is now viewed as two sides. One is the outer mind. So let me have this picture like this. This is body, pranic domain, annamaya kosh, pranamaya kosh. This is mind now, and this is me. Now, mind has two parts. It has basically three layers. The inner layer is called buddhi, middle layer is called ahankar, outer layer is called as man. But from functional point of view, we'll say it has two major functions: to activate the body, particularly the motor organs, to do some action, to take some action. Like I'm speaking, waving my hands, etc. This is outer functions activated by mind. So this is outer mind, and mind also brings in knowledge through five senses. That is displayed here so that the Purush can take cognizance of it. So that is called inner mind. So in one description from Upanishad, we have Panchakosh. So I want to say this is Annamaya Kosh, Pranamaya Kosh. This is Manomaya Kosh, the outer mind that is responsible for my actions. This is Vijnanamaya Kosh. This is inner mind that displays the knowledge to the Purush obtained from the real outside world. And that's where the thinking, decision making, intellectual functions take place. And finally, there is nothing here, me alone. But I am not quite alone. Here is also Supreme Being. Supreme Being is Sachidananda Swarup. Therefore, this is called as Anandamaya Kosh. So this is basically the scheme in meditation. I, my consciousness, like at this moment, has been allowed to permeate through the mind to the body, and I am conscious in body as well as in mind. This at this moment, I am functioning through body and mind. But when I want to go in deep in meditation, I withdraw my consciousness inward. I put my body in a quiet, still frame and say, you just stay there as it is. Then I discipline my breathing for a while. Then I want to say, tell my mind I am not interested in any knowledge based or action based functions, no thinking, nothing. And I want to withdraw my consciousness. I just want to be alone here. That is deep meditation. And indeed, as I said, in Shushupti also, that is the same state. There are no dreams here. So that is what we will be discussing today. Let me come back to Panchkosh thing and me now. I am this Purush possessing a very special property called consciousness. In Vedic terminology, matter does not exhibit consciousness. So, whatever you do with matter, you can never produce consciousness. So, consciousness is inherent property of something that is called Atma Tattva, Purusha. So, this is that extraordinary thing. You can look at it as a delta function in mathematics. It's high value at one point and is zero elsewhere. But when it wants to use body and mind, it lends its consciousness so that it can use body and mind. Now that consciousness translates into three extraordinary powers. So Atma Tattva has three extraordinary powers. What is it? Jnatatva, Bhoktatva, Kartatva. Ability to know, ability to experience an event, and ability to act upon its surroundings. Let's take the knowledge. Say there is a book in my hand. It has a lot of words that make sense. So there is knowledge in the book. But nobody will say book has the knowledge. Book doesn't quite is a knower. Book just has those sheets of paper on which through the ink we have embossed certain words. The book as such an entity is not quite a knower, is not a knowledgeable entity. But as a human being, I can read the book, decipher that language, and gain that knowledge. So I hope you understand it. The ability to know, like a camera, like in my laptop, there is a camera that is seeing me, and I also see so many things. But here the camera just picks up the image and transmits it to you and to others, but it doesn't quite carry the knowledge of the what is happening in front of it, even though it may store that image as if it has the memory. Like I also see some people, see somebody, I store his face, his image in my memory. Camera may also do the same thing, but still we will not say camera has the knowledge, because for me that image means something, and I can utilize that piece of information and process it for knowledge building. Camera cannot do that. And the next thing is, if I see somebody, I just don't see that image. If I see, say, my wife, my son, my daughter, my friend, my brother, sister, mother, father, so many relations, if I see them, I have emotions. It is not just an event to be known, it is an event to be experienced. And they give me a feeling of joy or pain. So that is the second attribute, that an event becomes an experience, bhoktatva, ability to experience. And we know it. Only a conscious being can feel the joy and pain of an experience. There's wood. I am There's a wooden desk in front of me. I can hit it. It doesn't complain. It doesn't have any pain. But if somebody hits me hard, I feel pain because I am a conscious being. And then katatva, ability to act upon it. We know it. In my household, we have so many things. We have a chair, we have a desk, we have books, we have all kinds of things here. And only when I pick up a book, read it, and put it elsewhere, only I can do that. Only a conscious being can displace one thing from one place to another by exerting a force. If I don't shift my chair, the chair will stay there for 100 years. And if I find that my chair has been displaced from location A to location B, then I am very confident. I say that somebody has displaced it. It has to be a conscious being, if not a human being, an animal. It has to be a conscious being who acts upon anything else. chair, desk, book, whatever it is. Not only in displacing, even in making. A wooden desk is made out of pieces of wood. Who is acting upon the wood? It has to be a human carpenter who is a conscious being, who has the knowledge, who has the ability to act upon wood and then transform the wood into chair. So it is to make things and to make them move from one place to another. It requires a consciousness. That is what we are talking about. A Purusha has three extraordinary powers: ability to know, ability to experience, ability to act. That's why he is only Jnata, Bhokta, and Karta. Of course, these extraordinary powers cannot be exercised without the instruments of mind and body. That's what life is all about. And once I have in this world, I go through these three human pursuits. Any moment I am doing one of them, trying to acquire knowledge from my surroundings, trying to make some experience, and if it is something painful, I want to act upon the surroundings such that I get away from pain and, if possible, towards pleasure, towards sukh. And that's what my actions are all about. So as to gain knowledge, so as to maximize my sukh and minimize dukh of my life. This is where Kapil and Patanjali and others have said that however smart you are, pain strikes us. You plan so much, but still something happens unplanned. Or even in the planned moment, something is recurring. I feel hunger, I eat food, but some hours later, I again feel hungry. And sometime uninvited, I pick up some kind of illness, I become sick, and if something go out of the things, I have to be in hospital. And if not me, somebody else in my family, and that pains me. So life, nobody can say is void of pain. What to do? So that's where the message is: get out of this bondage. That's the only way. He's saying, Tive dukha atyant niveti. Niveti is we employ some purusharth, effort to get away from pain. But atyant niveti is absolute cessation of pain and suffering. So Kapil is very great genius. He's telling us that yes, there is a high order of absolute effort, atyant purusharth, so that you are absolutely away from pain and suffering. Atyant nivritti. So we should try to understand that. And then what is the role of karma in this? And then what is the likely role of Agnihotra? Otherwise, we will not understand the true essence of Agnihotra. So we have understood I have three extraordinary powers: Jnana, Bhog, and Karma. And in all these three directions, there is duality. When it comes to Jnana, we try to pick up right knowledge, but we have a lot of wrong knowledge also, positive and negative both. And nobody claims that he has all the correct knowledge. Nobody is Sarvajya. There is limit here. When it comes to bhog, we of course have joy and pain both, sukh and dukh both. Again, there is a duality here. And karma also, like last week we discussed, inadvertently we do something that is adharma. Though I know my dharma, so my karma is also good as well as bad. There is duality in all this. And life goes on, life goes on. How will I gain absolute stature? A really refined stature. Getting away of all this negativity in jnana, bhog and karma. That's where we realize that there is another consciousness, Purush Vishesha, called as Ishwar, Ishwar Pranidhan, or what Sankhya is saying. Sahi Sarvit Sarvkarta, Idesha Ishwar Siddhi Siddha, or he calls as Brahma also. Samadhi Sushupti Moksheshu Brahma Rupta. So that supreme consciousness is also with three attributes. He has the same three powers: knowledge, experience, and action. But his three powers are extraordinarily brilliant. His knowledge is always true knowledge, and he has all the knowledge. He is called as Sarvajya. Patanjali has even referred to him as Sarvajyatva Bijam, means he is creator of the knowledge also. And in Vedanta it is said Shastra Yonitvat. He is the origin of all the knowledge because he has made things behave the way they behave. And that's what is the dharma of those dharmis, characteristics of those things. That's what is the knowledge we want to know. What is the science of water? What is the science of air? Science of clouds? Science of my body? Science of physiology? And he has done it. So he has, not only that he knows all the knowledge, he gives birth to all the knowledge. Savajyatva Bijam. So he is fantastic in this time. And he is Ananda Swarup, Sachidananda Swarup we call him. He is always in a saturated state of Anand that cannot be disturbed. And he is in, his karma is always good for others. Yajyu Prabhu Amar. Yajna is Shreshtamam karma. His karma is always of high order. So in Jnana, in Bhog, in Karma, he is superlative degree, absolute high level. And we have qualitatively negativity in Jnana. In Bhog, we have Dukh. In Jnana, we have wrong knowledge. Somebody becomes suicide bomber, isn't it? He has some funny idea in his mind. If he kills innocent people, he will go to a supposedly a Jannat where certain things are there. Funny idea. But that is his wrong knowledge in his mind. We all have some wrong knowledge, negative. We all have some dukh. We all do something which we should not have done. So qualitatively we are negative. And when it comes to positivity, we have a limited, shallow level. Our knowledge is very shallow. Our sukh is very shallow. It can get disturbed at a flick of a second. Our karma is also very tiny. We can do very small things. But he is infinite in all and qualitative, positive only. There is absolutely total lack of negativity. So he is our ideal. We cannot be like him, but we can be with him. That's upasana. We can be with him. When I am with him, with upasana, upa and asana, then what happens? All these negativities are dumped away. Like a small child, when he approaches his mother, he has lost all sorts of insecurity, all sorts of pains. He feels much better. In the same way, if I ex- employ practices in upasana and I am with him, I won't be Sarvajya like him, but my jnana will improve its quality. He will give me some. He will give me some light, bharga. His bharga will get transmitted here, and my wrong knowledge will diminish, diminish, diminish. If I am in upasana with him, my experience, that sukh dukh will be away. I will be in Anand Swarup for a few moments, which I experience in Sushupti. I'll come back to Sushupti. Why it is so important in our philosophy. And when I am in Upasana with him, my karma quality will gradually improve. So this is very important. And it just turns out that you can be in Upasana only if your knowledge is correct, only if your actions, karmas are correct. So you have to take the first step. Wherever you are in jnana and karma, you have to take some interest in upasana, and upasana will improve their quality. Again, further improvement in jnana and karma due to upasana. Of course, it's good to read books. Of course, it is very good to get motivated from good people. But he is our ideal, and we must engage in upasana. So, as I said, our jnana can never be like him. Our karma will never be like him. But in upasana, we are in that Ananda Sagar for a few moments. So listen to this important strategy from our Vedic rishis. Our three abilities of jnana, bhog, and karma is translated into threefold pursuits of jnana, upasana, and karma. So we started the whole story with jnana, bhog, and karma, but have channelized them into jnana, upasana, and karma. So this is where we will discuss next time in session number 3. So we are trying to narrow down to the dimension of karma, the domain of karma, and see, can we do a karma that I'm not interested in its phal? If I am interested in its reward, I have to come back to the world again. The rag dvesh will pile up more and more if I enjoy the fruits of the rewards. So then we will build up the idea of Nishkam karma. कोई वन्य वे कर्माणि जिजी विशेष सतम समा. एवं त्वयि नान्यते तो अस्ति न कर्म लिप्यते न ये. Yajurved 40th chapter, second month. Na lipyate na ye. And then he is addressing me as na, na रमण करना. As if मैंने तुम्हें संसार में भेजा लेकिन उसमें रमण मत करना, मुझसे जुड़े रहना. Like we send our children to this college university, stay connected with us. Don't forget the parents, is it not? In the same way, we should stay connected with him in this world. He is the maker of this world. And to the extent, devote a few minutes every day to be with him, upasana. And that improves the quality of our jnana and karma. And as our karma improves, that's where how Agnihotra can influence us. Or how should we do Agnihotra? Should we do Agnihotra as if to get some rewards? Or should we do Agnihotra just as if he is doing yajna karma? All his karmas are yajna. I add a small suffix to it, a small appendix to it. Yajastayate saptahot, tanabana. Just to extend it slightly in the spirit of his yajna. He gave me everything, milk. I made some effort, I have made it ghee, but I also put it into Agnihotra so that it gives strength to other species without expecting anything in return. So we'll see how Agnihotra and indeed any kind of karma that we get into can become a higher order karma like Nishkam karma, or what is called in philosophy of yoga by Vyas Bhashya as Ashukla Akishta, neither white nor black. So it does not bring any reward. I am not interested in any sukha or dukha. Of course, I am not interested in dukha. I am not even interested in sukha. I just want to do it because I want to do it without any eye on rewards. Thank you for your attention. We'll meet again next week. Namaste.